Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Food for Thought Kungfusations. This is a new, I'm not sure how often I'm going to be doing this, but hopefully fairly regular series, essentially where I just interview or get in a conversation with people from the martial arts cinema community. So right now, I'll probably be chatting to people that have fellow YouTube channels. They may have podcasts. And hopefully, in time, I'll be able to talk to people that maybe have made short films and been in the industry to some extent. But I'm not biting off too much for now. I'm just going to take it easy and see whoever will jump on the show with me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with. Now, this episode, the inaugural episode, I have an amazing guest with me today, and let me bring him on. It's Kaleb from
Hello.
Kaleb's Kung Fu Cinema. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Sean. How's it going? I'm doing well.
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm really, really excited, really looking forward to this. I think we're going to have a pretty awesome conversation. Basically, I'm just going to kick things off and keep it super simple with the question every martial arts cinema fan should be asked, and that is, how did you get into the genre?
Uh, I I've always I tell the story so many times, but I guess I never really get tired of saying it or telling the story. Sorry, I never get tired of telling the story. First, though, before I jump into it, I do want to say again, thank you for having me on here. This is kind of like a dream come true for me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm kissing ass, but I have I have listened to Food for Thought for 3 years now, and which when I first started doing this, I did a really deep dive into other podcasts and other channels that were doing what I wanted to do. And your podcast was the first thing I came across. And when I found it, I listened to everything, and I thought you guys were really funny. I still believe that. I think it's a great show and it's very funny. But anyway, Food for Thought made me realize, okay, I wouldn't be alone if I did this. And so you Food for Thought played a part in kind of motivating me to start doing this. And yeah, so this is kind of like a dream come true. I'm really happy that you asked me to be here.
Well, that's awesome. We are honored. We are very, very honored. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. So how did I get into this? So people might argue with this, but when I was about 3 years old, I want to say that's my earliest memory. I might have been a little bit older, but I want to say it was probably 3 years old. My dad introduced me to Kung Fu films, and he started with Fist of Fury, the Bruce Lee film.
Nice.
Yeah, my dad's a huge fan of that stuff, and he's basically why I love Kung Fu movies. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be into them as much as I am. But yeah, I remember he showed me Fist of Fury, and he just told me who Bruce Lee was and showed me the movie, showed me all of his other movies. And I was blown away, really. Like as a kid, you see him and you're blown away. You're like, well, this is just like one guy, and he's beating everybody up by himself. All these people are running at him, and he's just taking them out, no problem. I just thought that was so cool. And then from there, I got it. My dad showed me all of Jackie Chan's movies, or not all of them, but many of them. He showed me like many of Jackie Chan's films, and then we would watch Jet Li movies and Donnie Yen and stuff like that. So it was really just him. But then as I got older, I did explore other films and other areas of the Kung Fu cinema myself. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, funny enough, we have fairly similar beginnings because I was shown, I believe, Way of the Dragon at a very early age. But unfortunately for me, it didn't spur on any interest. I just watched it and kind of shrugged it off. And it wasn't until years later where I really got into the genre. But that's an awesome story to start off so young. That's amazing. So I suppose I have to ask also the obvious question, right, that everyone asks, and that is, do you have any favorites in the genre? Films, I should say, favorite films.
Okay, yeah. I do. I have many favorites, but there are a lot of days where I'll think about, it could be like any type of movie, and I'll just think about how much I love it. It could be something really random, and I was like, wow, that movie is like really awesome. Like I know, each time you think about it, you just realize how cool it is. But I mean, yeah, Fist of Fury is one of my all-time favorites. for a really long time, I said that was my favorite martial arts film, like, of all time. I said that for the longest time, but obviously when I started doing this and started seeing way more films that I had never seen before, then I started realizing, okay, I don't think this Fury might be my favorite anymore, but it's still pretty high up there. But that's one of them. I love The Young Master, really amazing Jackie Chan movie. Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen, like, I've done videos on The Young Master talking about how much I love that movie. That's actually my next podcast episode too. I'm gonna talk about that one next month. So yeah, I'm really excited for that one. So yeah, Young Master's a really big one. I think that was probably maybe the third Jackie Chan movie overall that I ever saw.
Yeah.
Although my only memory of it from when I saw it many years ago as a kid, my only memory of it was when Jackie fell into the quicksand, and Shiken is like saying he'll pull him out if he sings a song, and he sings London Bridge is Falling Down. And that was like my only memory. And then I rediscovered The Young Master actually a couple years ago. And when it got to that scene, I was like, oh, that's what that was from, because I always remembered that specific scene, but I forgot what movie it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And let's see, what else? There's so many. Iron Monkey is another favorite of mine. That was my first Donnie Yen film, Iron Monkey. And yeah, my dad showed me that one. And I thought that movie was really cool and really funny. And I love the finale fighting on the posts with there's like fire everywhere. That's a really fun movie. I love that one. And then and actually in my like later teenage years, like when I was like getting ready to like graduate high school and stuff like that, and start college. I mean, I was in college for a little while, but around that time I got into that was when I discovered all of the Donnie Yen Ip Man films. At that point, he had made two, and I wanted to check those out because it was Ip Man. He trained Bruce Lee, and so that connection was already there. So I checked those two movies out. I thought, oh, that was amazing. First time I ever saw Wing Chun on screen. Excuse me. And then I got into Donnie's modern stuff like Flashpoint and SPL. SPL, that movie again blew me away. I thought that movie was so damn good, and I loved the fight scenes in that. Even though there isn't many, I really, really love what we saw in that one. And after that, you know, I got into Scott Adkins, and I had seen Scott Adkins, and the first time I saw him was in 2009 when he did the movie Ninja.
Yeah,
that was the only time I had seen him. And although he was a background character in like The Medallion or Unleashed, and I watched those movies a lot, but I didn't realize that was him. I didn't put two and two together, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then I rediscovered Scott again in my teenage years, and found Ninja 2 Shadow of a Tear and Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning. And so I kind of rediscovered Scott around that time, and I got in. I kept up with everything he did afterwards. So yeah, like Ninja 2 Shadow of a Tear is a really important one for me because again, that like reignited my love for Scott Adkins. And John Wick was another, the very first one that, and I'm sure like with many other people, John Wick, the very first one was, that was like kind of a, what's the word? Like a renaissance, I guess, of like Hollywood action. So yeah, that's a really important one for me too.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny you were talking about your favorites, and you mentioned a Bruce Lee film, you mentioned the Jackie Chan film, and you mentioned the Donnie Yen film. So out of all the, let's call them legends, so let's say Bruce Lee, Jackie, Donnie, let's throw Jet Li in there as well.
Yeah.
Out of those four, who would you say reigns supreme? Who's the king of kung fu?
I'm gonna say Jackie.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got to be Jackie because, I mean, and I've talked about this before. I mean, as much as I love Bruce Lee, sadly he did not live long enough, you know, to do more films. Even though what he did obviously has had a really long lasting impact, but but sadly he just didn't live long enough. But for me, the one that I always kind of went back to was Jackie. And Jackie had done so much, and he 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 really like redefined the industry in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, he's got like his really old school shape stuff, but then he was, did Police Story, and then like all his other modern stuff. And so I would have to say Jackie is probably the king, and the guy is still going. I mean, you say what you will about his most recent films, many of them are not that great, obviously, but I mean, he's 69 now and he's still going. But yeah, for me, I'd have to say Jackie's definitely the king.
Absolutely. We're recording this, everyone, on July 16th on a Sunday, and Jackie Chan's brand new trailer dropped today, a sequel to The Myth called A Legend. And to be honest, the trailer didn't make the film look amazing, but the fight scenes in there, they look like traditional, typical Jackie Chan stuff, and they look like some of the best stuff that I've seen from him in a while. Although it doesn't look like Jackie's going to be in a lot of the film. Looks like he may play second fiddle to some of the younger actors, but some of the action in the trailer looks solid. So I agree. I think Jackie's shown the longevity, and I think Jackie's also, he's got classics in so many eras, but he's never sacrificed his style. He's always been the same over and over, which I kind of appreciate that, because he doesn't kowtow to the modern styles. You'll never see Jackie Chan do an MMA, Flashpoint style fight. Although, wasn't he in? Oh my god, what's the film called? Didn't he do like some grittier action in? Was it called Police Story Lockdown?
Yeah. He did do that one. I haven't seen that in a long time.
No, I've only seen it once, and I don't recall loving it. But I recall that it was like a grittier film. But even some of his grittier films, like even New Police Story, it still is typical Jackie stuff. I mean, he just doesn't. He's Jackie. He doesn't change. He doesn't bow down to modern choreography, which I always find it interesting. My dream, I suppose, let's call it a dream. I would pay good money to see Jackie Chan as the villain in Ip Man 5.
Yeah, I could buy that for sure.
Yeah, I just think, Donnie Yen's pulled out all the stops, and he's gotten some great names and some big names in the Ip Man films. And apparently, allegedly, the fifth one is going to be the final one, even though we all thought the fourth one was the final one. But just if he could pull off getting Jackie or pulling Jet Li out of retirement, that would be so great. I'd love to see that.
Absolutely. I didn't even consider that, but now that you've said it, I really want to see that too. That'd be a really great idea.
Yeah, and I would love also for them to switch up the choreographer. I'd actually love to see Kenji Tanigaki do the choreography, do the Wing Chun choreography. He reinvented things, swordplay with Rurouni Kenshin, and I would love to see what he could do with Wing Chun. So that would be super exciting. But we'll see. Who knows what Donnie Yen's going to do. I don't even know who's directing it. Is Wilson Yip directing it? I've got no idea.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I'm excited to see it once it rolls around. And of course, he's doing Flashpoint 2 as well, which will be super interesting.
Yeah, that's a long-awaited sequel there.
Yeah, it's been a while, but Raging Fire, he still pulled off the modern stuff, so I imagine he can still pull off Flashpoint 2. So yeah, exciting. Yeah. Speaking of legends and speaking of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, are you picking up the Bruce Lee box set from Arrow?
Yeah, I do plan to. It might have to wait it out a little bit, but it's definitely on my wish list.
Yeah, that one definitely hurt my wallet. I think I pre-ordered that, and I think at the same time I pre-ordered the special edition Enter the Dragon Blu-ray that's 4K that's coming out, and that by itself, which is crazy. I think I can't remember how much the box set was, but let's say, I don't know, like 150 maybe. Enter the Dragon by itself was $90, which is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. But you got to pick these things up. So. That's the perils of being a collector, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I've only been collecting for about, I think it's been about 2 years, because I didn't actually start really collecting until like 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even though I started doing my podcast in 2020. Yeah, I didn't actually start collecting until like 2021. So my collection is not that big, but it is expanding. The Bruce Lee box set on one hand though, that is yeah, that's something that I did not originally plan on getting. Because the rumor going around was that it was going to be 4K only. That's just what I was hearing. I'm not sure about everybody else, but
Right.
yeah, what I was hearing at the time, like before the release, is that it was 4K only. And I have the Criterion set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I was hearing they're going to do another set, but it's 4K only, I was like, okay, I got the Criterion set. I don't need to worry about that one then. But then I found out that there was a standard Blu-ray of it, and then I was reading everything that's like on the set, all the special features and stuff like that. And I was like, oh God, okay, I think I need to get it now, because it's just like just seeing what all was on there. And of course, I mean, I did interview Brandon Bentley recently. And yeah, and he you know, I mean, and he really spilled the beans on that set, and it made me want it even more. So I'm definitely gonna be getting that one.
Yeah, they get you, right? That's what they do. They as fans of the genre, I'm sure many other genres, I'm sure horror fans have the same issue, but they get you. They lure you in with these releases, and they put all the bells and whistles on them, and you have to get them. It's just a rule of the game. You just have to get them. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I think mine is actually going to be delivered tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be delivered, and I might actually do my first unboxing video for the channel,
Nice.
which I've never done before, so I might do that tomorrow. Yeah, should be right around the corner for me. And weirdly, out of all the films on there, even though I have the Criterion set, I'm actually most excited about revisiting Tower of Death. Have you seen that film?
Yes, I have. I've seen it many times. I love it.
That's great. That's great, because people think that it's this corny Bruce Exploitation film, and that it doesn't deserve to be on this box set, or doesn't deserve to be with the other films. But Tower of Death, for me, I'm not even going to say it's a guilty pleasure. I just love that film. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I actually have a funny story about Game of Death 2 or Tower of Death. So when I was a kid, my lifelong dream has always been to be a fight choreographer. And I believe I've told you that. I think we've had conversations about that.
Yep.
But yeah, that was like something I've always wanted to do. Part of me still wants to be a fight choreographer. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll make it happen, but I'm honestly not too sure kind of like where my head is on that right now. But anyway, when I was a kid, I would always think about movies I wanted to make when I grew up and stuff like that. And I would write all these stories and stuff like that about a movie. Like, I'm going to make this movie one day. And but I remember I've always had this kind of thing with the first Game of Death, the 1978 one, learning at a really early age that movie, Bruce never actually finished it and it was incomplete. I was like, I always in a strange way kind of felt obligated to actually finish that movie and like do Bruce's vision, like the way he had the way he had intended to do it. But anyway, I remember like thinking that, and I remember also thinking like one day I would do a sequel to that as well. Like, I'll make like Bruce's like original vision of Game of Death, and then I'll make like a sequel. But then I remember my dad told me, he said, "There's already a Game of Death 2." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, it's really old, and I haven't seen it that many times, but I know there's a Game of Death 2 out there somewhere." And I remember going to Blockbuster when I was 10, maybe. I was probably 10 years old, and I went to Blockbuster, and I always look in the international section of Blockbuster. That's where all the kung fu movies were, and I was just walking through the aisle where all the international films were, and sure enough, there was Game of Death 2. So I rented a copy of it, and yeah, I saw it again. I was probably about 10 years old, but I saw that, and I thought the movie was pretty incredible. And so I was super excited whenever I found out about the Criterion set, and they said Game of Death 2 would be on that as well. I think that might have been the first thing I watched as soon as I got that set. I was like, I need to watch Game of Death 2. And many people might be wondering, why would you watch that first? Like, with all the other things that have been restored on there. But I was like, it's Game of Death 2.
Exactly. It's such a wonderful film, and I think too many people dismiss it as, and I get it. It's not similar to a Bruce Lee film. You're not gonna find the same seriousness in Game of Death 2 as you do in Bruce Lee's films. I mean, at one point, if those watching are not familiar with Tower of Death, Game of Death 2, at one point there is a lion who attacks a man, and it is just a man in a lion costume, and it is hilarious. It is very, very funny. And long ago, when I first watched the film, I had a debate between myself and my friends, and the debate was, in the film, is it meant to be a lion, a real lion, or are they in on it and it's actually a man in a lion costume having a fight and attacking? And I think it's an age-old argument that no one really knows, but I think it's kind of the general consensus is it's actually meant to be a lion, right? I think.
I believe so, but I'm on your side right there. I'm not really sure either. I think because the way it's like the way the man in the lion costume, the way he moves, it makes me wonder that too. It's like, is it supposed to be like a lion? I don't know, because it just kind of seems like it's a dude in a lion suit trying to do kung fu.
Yeah, it's an incredible moment. One of those kind of fight scenes that stands out as being truly unique, and that's the kind of stuff that you find in kung fu cinema. That's why I love this genre. That so many things are unique. I was watching a film the other day. Oh damn it! Why can't I remember what the film was called? It was called The Cat. I think it's a 1992 film. I think. And I kid you not, there is a choreographed fight scene in that film between a real dog and a real cat. And it is incredible. It's something you will only find in Hong Kong cinema. And it blew me away. The film itself, I didn't necessarily love. I thought it was okay. But the fight scene between this dog and this cat, there are obviously at times they use puppets, but a lot of the time it's a real cat and a real dog. And it just, I was dumbfounded. It's incredible.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really worth tracking down just for that. It's probably on YouTube, to be honest. The fight scene's probably on YouTube.
Yeah.
So what is we had this discussion the other day, actually. I put a poll up on Instagram, and it was whether you are what I call an old school head or a new school head. And I think you said, let's call, just for the sake of argument, everyone, let's call new school 1990 and onwards. Let's just say that. And I believe you're a new school guy, right?
So yeah, well, now that you've put like a year on it, I might actually have to lean more towards old school, because
okay.
Yeah. So this is like my thinking whenever you put that poll up. My thinking was, okay, maybe like old school, he means like 60s, 70s, or like really early 80s, and I figured like new school was like Police Story and onward.
Okay, I can see that. I can see what you mean. I think in my head, for some reason, a new school, I always think like the first film I think of when I say new school is always Once Upon a Time in China. That new wave waifu that came in.
Yeah.
But you are right. I guess films like Police Story and even In the Line of Duty 4, they have that more kickboxing style rather than the classic shapes. So yeah, you're right. It could be considered new school. But you're a fan. Are we safe to say then you're a fan of the 80s kickboxing style?
Absolutely. Yeah. I really love shapes. I love bashers. Like I talk about bashers a lot. Those are really amazing. But yeah, I think if I had to choose between what we're considering old school and new school, I would have to say I'm more new school, because at that point, the industry obviously was starting to evolve at that point, and that was when they started doing the kickboxing and stuff like that, and the choreography, or like the slickness and the speed. It became like way more breakneck, and I love that, and I love the shapes too. That stuff is all like really intricate, and I love that as well. But I think if you want to talk about just like speed and stuff like that, I got to go with like the 80s kickboxing choreography.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 80s kickboxing style, mainly because I'm a big fan of the Girls with Guns subgenre. A big fan of that. And hopefully, I'm just putting this out there, if anyone from Eureka or 88 Films or Arrow is watching, please put out more Girls with Guns on Blu-ray. We definitely need it. But yeah, I think I'm an old school guy because shapes is my thing. Oh, by the way, a big shout out to you, because you were on Ryan, aka the Disconnected's YouTube channel, and this never happens. And everyone who's a fan of the genre should be very proud of Kaleb for this. He was on the Disconnected breaking down what shapes means and what shapes are. And that is magical because so many people, when you talk about shapes online, even people from the Kung Fu cinema community, some of them don't use the term shapes or bashers for that matter. But it is slang that's been used for decades now. And yeah, you were breaking down shapes. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes I toe the line. Sometimes I'm like an old school guy. I guess recently I've been really into old school. I was revisiting Shaolin versus Lama this morning, and yeah, it's a treat. It's an absolute treat. So, we've spoken about eras, and I suppose I have to ask you the age-old question, which is: are you a Shaw Brothers guy or you're a Golden Harvest guy?
Golden Harvest.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you a fan of Shaw Brothers as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love Shaw Brothers. And like, please don't chastise me for this, but I actually didn't really get that into them until 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, I grew up on Golden Harvest and the indie kung fu films. Like that was what I grew up on. I've always really dug that vibe, and Shaw Brothers was basically unknown territory to me for the longest time. I had heard of them, never really watched their stuff. And it's not that I didn't want to. I guess kind of just didn't really come across it that much, and so it was just easy to miss for a real time for me. But I had heard of a few things. I had heard of stuff like Five Fingers of Death and Five Deadly Venoms and whatnot, and or Executioners from Shaolin. I had heard of stuff like that, and whenever I started getting back into kung fu movies and then starting to do the podcast and the channel, that was when I was like, okay, I know like these few films I've heard of, I know they're Shaw Brothers, so I'm gonna dive into what that is. But yeah, at this point, yeah, I've seen a ton of Shaw films, and I do absolutely love it. But I've always been a Golden Harvest guy.
Nice. Yeah, I'm with you actually. I came late to Shaw Brothers when I started. I've been collecting for a while now, and probably 25 years. But when I first started collecting, I was not aware of Shaw Brothers either. And I picked up a lot of the indie films, and I didn't pick up many studio films at all. But then when I started buying, and this was VHS days, when I started buying Shaw Brothers, because I was young, I must have been, I don't know, well, not super young, but like, let's say 15, 16, in my teens, my late teens. When I put a Shaw Brothers film on, even though the Shaw Brothers logo came up, I didn't give a shit about that because it's just a logo. So I wasn't paying attention. So I was watching Shaw Brothers films, not realizing they were this special studio that was amazing. I was just like, it's like when you watch a standard mainstream film and Universal comes up or New Line Cinema. You're like, oh, who cares about that? No one cares. Just start the film. And I think I did that with Shaw Brothers. And it wasn't until years later where I was just like, oh, wait there. Okay. People are talking about Shaw Brothers. That they mean something. They're significant to the genre. And then it took me a while to get into them. And then I started picking up. I think my first Shaw Brothers films, I think I bought them at the same time, were Five Deadly Venoms and 8 Diagram Pole Fighter.
Nice.
Yeah, I was very lucky to pick up those because I could have picked up some duds, but thankfully not. Golden Harvest. Do you have favorite Golden Harvest films, or why Golden Harvest? They just came earlier to you, or do you have a preference for them for a particular reason?
Yeah. So yeah, Golden Harvest, like that was just where it started for me. Like that's like one of the biggest factors is that's just where I got my start, and then onwards. Again, I didn't discover Shaw Brothers until many, many years later. And even though I've seen many Shaw Brothers films now, but whenever I watch Shaw Brothers films and then I watch like a Golden Harvest film, I don't know. Golden Harvest just kind of has like this, it just has this vibe to it. And it's, a lot of their stuff takes place outdoors. And a lot of it is outdoors. And there's like, there isn't, it's not just a studio set like many of Shaw Brothers films where like everything was on set, was like on the studio lot. So I think Golden Harvest just always kind of had this I guess what's the word? I guess guerrilla style. I don't really know, but it's always just kind of had like this like very kind of like very low budget indie like guerrilla vibe to it. And I don't know. I always liked the way it looked and the way it felt. You know, so that's just kind of where I stand with like why I prefer Golden Harvest.
No, absolutely makes perfect sense. I mean, if you compare something like, I don't know, if you compare Righting Wrongs to The Sentimental Swordsman, I mean, it's apples and oranges, right? It's completely different. Or even, even Righting Wrongs to Mad Monkey Kung Fu or 36 Chamber of Shaolin. Like, you've definitely, Righting Wrongs feels more, I don't know, I guess more produced. There's outside sets, there's outside shooting locations. It's more modern. Of course, it's a few years later, but yeah, I get what you mean. I think I'm a Shaw Brothers guy, but I go back and forth
Yeah.
on that. I'm never quite sure because the more, and it seems like more Golden Harvest films are getting released on Blu-ray now. So the more I see, the more I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. So yeah, but it's exciting. It's an exciting time. Speaking of Blu-rays, I guess you're a physical media collector. You know, you do collect the Blu-rays. So, question to you then: are you just? And I love this question because I find it interesting how people answer it. Are you just a Blu-ray guy, or do you still buy DVDs?
I still buy DVDs.
Yeah.
I've actually bought a couple recently. Like it's something that I still seek out. I mean, however, I do a Blu-ray is what I go for first. Like
Yeah.
if I can find a Blu-ray or if there is one, I will try to get my hands on that. But if there isn't one, if I find a DVD first or whatever, if a DVD is kind of all they've made, because there are some movies out there where there's only DVD, and so yeah, I always try to seek out a Blu-ray first, but if not, I'll buy a DVD, and I'm totally fine with it. So I would say I'm both.
Awesome. That's wonderful. I'm obviously I shouldn't say obviously that I'm speaking bad of myself, but I'm pretentious in that I don't buy DVDs anymore. You can see here these are all DVD. Wait, there we go. These are all DVDs, and they're kind of bought over the space of 20 years. And I haven't bought a DVD in maybe 7 years. I haven't bought a DVD in a long time. I'm a Blu-ray guy only, but of course that does put a halt to the things I can pick up because there's only so many Blu-rays getting released right now.
Yeah.
Since you said that you picked up some DVDs recently, I should ask you, what's the most recent martial arts film that you've bought?
Um. Let me think. I haven't bought anything in almost a month, but I did. The last thing I bought 3 Blu-rays. I bought Iceman Cometh from 88 Films. I had the Vinegar Syndrome release, and I wanted the 88 Films release, but I had been putting it off and putting it off for a really long time, and I had the Vinegar Syndrome one, so I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. But then I found that Grindhouse still had a couple of copies
Mm-hmm.
of it. Yeah, they still had a couple of copies of, it, and I was like, okay, screw it, I'll buy it. So I bought that. I bought 88's release of God of Gamblers, not a martial arts film, but I did buy it, and then I also got oh damn, I can't remember what it was. Burning Paradise, Eureka's release of Burning Paradise. Another situation where I had the Vinegar Syndrome one, but Eureka released Burning Paradise as well, and so I was just like really itching to get that one because I've developed this thing where I like to compare
Mm-hmm.
like compare special features and stuff like that. And I think I haven't even watched my Eureka version of Burning Paradise just yet, but if I remember correctly, I think it's got an English dub, and the Vinegar Syndrome release did not have one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like that was another thing another reason why I wanted to get that one. But yeah, I think that's the most recent thing I bought.
Three classics there. Me myself, I'm just gonna say I'm not a big fan of God of Gamblers. It's just not my type of film. Although I did pick it up. I actually picked up the Nova Media version. I didn't pick up the 88 Films version. But yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of it. I understand most genre fans are a big fan of it. It just didn't work for me. Iceman Cometh, however, and Burning Paradise, top notch. Yeah, two of the best. I have recently stopped double dipping. I double dipped for the longest time,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. I was running out of space, and I was just yeah, the last double dip I did essentially was the new Bruce Lee set because I have the Criterion one. But yeah, I'm trying to give up double dipping in the future. I don't know. I want to. I really want to, but it's just the space. It's a matter of space. So I can't do that anymore. But yeah, that's awesome. 3 great films. And are you you're multi-region then? You got
Yeah.
a multi-region player? Yep. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I actually have you to thank for that. I don't know if you remember, but you actually recommended a Blu-ray a region-free player for me many years
I
ago.
do. Yes, I do remember that. I mean, I'm gonna confess, I forgot that was you, but I do remember recommending one.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Multi-region is obviously the way to go. I mean, I'm not sounding pretentious here. I'm just saying for this genre, you
yeah.
have to. You have
Yeah,
to. There's
yeah.
no other way.
You basically have to at this point if you're into these kind of films. But yeah, I had so whenever I had discovered and I had talked about this when I was on Disconnected, but whenever I had discovered like 88 films in Eureka and stuff like that, and I had learned that they were releasing all these old school kung fu movies and even like that 80s new wave stuff when they were releasing all that stuff, and I had found out about it. It was killing me that I couldn't get my hands on that stuff. At
Yeah.
the 88 Films was only doing UK stuff, and they're releasing a lot of US stuff now. But at that time, like I saw they were releasing all this stuff, and I was like, oh, why can't we get any of this? And then I found out. I don't know how I found out about it, but I somehow found out like someone had said in a comment or whatever, they said like, oh, you're gonna if you want to watch this, you're gonna need a region free player or something like that. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And but yeah, I remember I reached out to you and asked if you could recommend one for me, and you sent me a link to the one. I think you said that you had that one, like that same one. And
Yep.
so you sent me that link, and I like immediately bought that, and I bought like Eureka's release of One Arm Boxer and a couple of 88 releases of some old Jackie Chan movies. But yeah, I actually have you to thank for that.
No problem. I mean, with genre fans, you have to like spread the wealth, right? You got to let people know what to pick up and when to pick up. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's what's great about this community is that everyone is so fucking sharing. Everyone is so nice and just ev- everyone wants to give everyone the right information and keep everyone up to date. And that's what I love. The martial arts cinema community online is just a bunch of very very wonderful people,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that. And hopefully I'll get some on and I'll be able to chat to them and have conversations.
Yep.
So speaking of DVD releases, Blu-ray releases,
Mhm.
uh is there a film that you want to see remastered and released on Blu-ray that has not yet gotten a release? Is there some golden fleece that you are desperate to get your hands on that has not been put out there yet?
There's actually several. Yeah. The one of the biggest ones for me is Born Invincible.
Oh, I'm with you. I started watching that this morning. I finished Shaolin versus Lama and I put on Born Invincible.
Yeah, that's such an incredible movie. That was another one of those movies. It was a really early one for me too. Like I think the way I'm remembering it, I think what how my journey with these movies started. I think it started with Bruce Lee.
Mhm.
I watched all I'll say all five of Bruce Lee's movies, even though I don't necessarily count Game of Death because he didn't finish it and
Mhm.
what we got was not his vision. But anyway, I will say that I started with all five of his movies, and then I'm pretty sure like right after that, like even before I got into Jackie Chan and Jet Li, my dad showed me Born Invincible. He had it on VHS tape, and yeah, he showed me that, and I thought it was so cool. Like I thought it was like it had like really quirky characters. Carter Wong's character, the villain, and like probably the best thing about it, and that was like my first time seeing a lot of really intricate weapons fights because everyone's using spears and swords and stuff like that. And then Yuen Ping choreographed that film, and that was my first introduction to him and his style
Mm.
of choreography. And in this day and age, Yuen Ping, he's my favorite choreographer. I know that's hard. That's hard for many people to pick a favorite choreographer because everyone's got something different about them. Like many say Lau Kar Lung, many say Sammo Hung, but for me, it's always been Yuen Ping. Like it's just his acrobatics, his wire work. It's all really excellent. And then in recent years, he has shown that he can do like really modern stuff and make it like really aggressive and really brutal. So yeah, Born Invincible is definitely one for me.
Yeah, I am with you. If anyone out there hasn't seen Born Invincible, within the first literally 5 minutes, you get Corey Yun, the legendary director Corey Yun, in a wig that has pigtails.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in seeing that, definitely pick up. Well, you can't even pick up Born Invincible. That's what we're talking about. You cannot pick it up.
Mhm.
I think I had a bootleg DVD of it many years ago. And now I hate to say it, but the version that's on YouTube is shoddy.
Yeah.
It's a tiny screen. It's not great to watch, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. It's an absolutely iconic film. Carter Wong is just top notch in it.
Mhm.
Classic dub track. I mean, even the dub track's great. And yeah, that's a special one. I hope someone picks it up one day. But it's whether they can find the negatives, whether they can actually remaster it. It's all up in the air. But you never know. RZA from Wu-Tang was able to remaster Shaolin versus Llama and put it
Mhm.
on a website. What was that website called? 36 Cinema. That was up for a few months. So it just goes to show that people can remaster these things. It's just, I guess, it's difficult getting your hands on them though sometimes. But Born Invincible, what a gem. Great film. I'm with you. Also, speaking of Yuen Ping, someone actually asked me on Twitter this morning who my favorite choreographer was. And I have to say, Yuen Ping is up there. Yuen Ping, to me, is the most iconic choreographer. And that's because the guy has been going for 40 years.
Yeah.
And he reinvents himself in every era. It's
Mhm.
Yuen Ping. He can do something new every single time, whether it's Snake and Eagle Shadow, or In the Line of Duty 4, or Iron Monkey, or True Legend, and then Master Z, the Ip Man legacy. He just keeps going. Crouching Tiger, The Matrix. He keeps going, and he keeps putting out these amazing fight scenes. Okay, sure, he's got a few duds here and there. That's fine. But
Who doesn't?
yeah, exactly. Who doesn't? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, a legend. I always wonder whether Lau Kar Lung, if he made more films, whether his Shaw Brothers era, Lau Kar Lung is almost perfection.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of his stuff in the 80s and 90s was great as well. I would love to have seen him make his, well, what would have been his final film, I think. I think it was meant to be like Heroes of Shaolin or something, I think. But yeah, he obviously didn't get to make it, which is a shame. But
Yeah.
yeah, a big fan of Lau Kar Lung as well.
Oh yeah, he's incredible as well. I really like I really like everything he did. I watched Mad Monkey Kung Fu a few months back. That was actually, I think that was the first film I watched when I got Shawscope Volume 2. I popped in Mad Monkey Kung Fu, and that's a really great movie.
It's an interesting movie as well. It's
Yeah.
for those who haven't seen it, Mad Monkey Kung Fu is sometimes you either love it or hate it film, because it's got some heavy comedy in that film, and it's heavy old school Hong Kong cinema comedy, which a lot I want to do Mad Monkey Kung Fu for the podcast, but I know Devon, my wife, everyone would hate it. She would hate it because it's too much tomfoolery, hijinks, whatever you want to call it. And also, there's a scene where they aggressively harm a monkey, which is
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah, that was like that was one of the things about that movie that I could not give it 5 stars on Letterbox, because I do have a Letterbox for those who want to follow me on there. That was like one of those things where I was like I can't give it 5 stars, like because of that. I mean, I hate animal cruelty, and so I just can't. Yeah, I can't do it. And
Yeah.
I actually and I don't want to go too far off track here, but one thing that like really hurt me was in I recently watched Enter the Game of Death, the exploitation film, and there is a fight scene in that movie. I'm sure you know, but for those who don't, there's a fight scene in the movie where he fights this guy who uses snakes. Like this dude's got like literal snakes in his room, and he's throwing them at Bruce Lee. He bites the head off of one of them, or like rips it off. I don't remember if he did like that one or the other. So I do not like snakes. I've got like a fear of them. I've got like a phobia of snakes. I can't do snakes. But also seeing them get hurt, it was like almost too much.
Yeah, I understand. I'm fully against it. I think most people are. You know, I know some people can stomach it, and that's fine if you can stomach it. We're not judging you. That's fine. But yeah, personally, and I like the fact that I believe the new release from is it 88 Films? Yes, it is 88 Films. The new release of Magic Cop that's coming out. The UK version cut out the single scene of questionable animal content, whereas the US version kept it in. But if you buy it in the US and you change your region to the UK, the US disc will play the UK version without the cruelty in it. So you can actually watch a version without it in. I found that out. Shout out to the Shogun Supreme Times Square Kung Fu on Twitter, who actually let me know about that. So big shout out to him. That's awesome. But yeah, we won't dive too deep into the animal cruelty part of it. It's a pretty grim aspect of Hong Kong cinema, unfortunately. But yeah, you know, if you can stomach it, great. They're great. So I'm actually going to pull out my phone now because I had a few questions on my phone. So just bear with me 1 second. Let's see. Oh yeah. This is a good one, I think. Is there a martial arts film that everyone loves that you don't like? And on the flip side of that coin, is there a martial arts film that everyone doesn't like that you do like?
So let's see. I'll start with one that I like that no one else likes, and I will make one thing clear here that I don't like this movie. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase that. I kind of ironically like it. I realize the flaws it has, and I realize that it is not a good movie. Like, so I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, you people are dumb. This is a great movie. I don't know what you're talking about. This is me going like, yeah, it's dumb, but I like it.
Yeah.
And that is, that is The Medallion with Jackie Chan.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that movie on a few different levels. So, and most of it is kind of like I guess I kind of have like a sentimental attachment to it because when I was a kid, I watched that movie a lot. Like I had it on DVD. I think my mom bought it for me or something like that because she knows how much I like that stuff. So if she wanted to buy me a gift, she'd give me like a Jackie Chan movie or a Jet Li movie or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember I had The Medallion on DVD, and my brother and I, we watched that movie all the time together. We watched it so many times, and we both thought it was really funny. We were actually talking the other day about that movie and remembering how funny that we thought it was, and we still think it's funny. Like mainly due to Lee Evans' performance. He was Jackie's side. He is so damn funny in that movie. Like I know it's like one of those things where some people might say it's not funny. It's really lame infantile comedy or something like that. But for me, it's like, no, I didn't see it that way. He genuinely makes me laugh in that movie. Like it's really funny to me. So like that's another thing. And you know, Jackie is Jackie. You know, I mean, I don't really see that movie for him. I don't really see it as like a bad performance. I mean, he looked like he was just, you know, taking it as seriously as he would take any other film, you know. But yeah, I mean, so he's Jackie, and Jackie is Jackie. Lee Evans is really funny in it. The fight scenes are awful, but they are like entertainingly awful. I watched a fight scene. I watched the final fight scene for Medallion the other night, and I was laughing, you know, and it was like one of those things where it's like so stupid that it's funny to you, but you know, it's like I'm glad I'm watching it. I'm still having fun, even though this is like really, really stupid.
I'll confess, I've never seen The Medallion. I've honestly never seen. I've never seen the medallion, and I've never seen the tuxedo. They're two of. You don't like the tuxedo?
No, and I told my wife. So my wife doesn't understand why I like the medallion, and but I told her I said I'll put it to you this way. I may like this movie on some level, but I do not like the tuxedo. Like I cannot watch that movie. I think that movie's like way worse. At least the medallion is entertaining in a way. I'm not even entertained by the tuxedo.
Yeah, that's fine. I think most people would agree with you there.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anyone that actually likes the tuxedo, to be honest. I'm sure there's some people out there, but yeah, I've never met anyone, especially in the community. So, do you have one that you dislike that everyone likes?
Let me think. I know I do, but I also kind of need to think about it.
Yeah,
So,
it's a tough question when you
yeah,
don't automatically have that at the tip of your tongue. It's a tricky one.
yeah, it's like something that I need to think like really hard about, and it's and even and even then there are movies that many of them I can find something to like about them, even if I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
I can find something to like about it. I guess. Okay, I will say this one. Like, and again, I need more time to think about it, but trying to think as quickly as I can, I'll just go with this one. City Hunter.
Do you know why that's funny? Because my film for one that I love that everyone doesn't like, that would be City Hunter. Because I've spoken to so many people that don't like it, and I'm like, well, I like that film. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh man, it always seemed to me that everyone liked it.
Yeah, there's varying opinions. Honestly, you hop on Twitter and you speak about City Hunter. 50% will be I love it. 50% will be I hate it. Depends on the day.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen many people have something negative to say about it. So that is interesting. But like, yeah, so like just from my perspective, like that's one of those movies where I see many people say oh, it's good. It's a fun Jackie Chan movie. It's got a lot of comedy, some good action. I watched it and I thought the final fight that he has with Richard Norton at the end, I thought that was fine. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
But and admittedly, his Street Fighter scene with Gary Daniels, I thought that was funny. Like a little bit, that was kind of funny. But the rest of it, I was like, this sucks. Like this is just like not enjoyable for me. Oh wait, okay. Now that I'm thinking about it more, Armor of God is another one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I do not like that movie. The only justifiable thing with that is the final action sequence. I think it's good, like really, I do. But the rest of it, I watched it like this movie is just not fun for me. I am not engaged at all with what's going on here, And I think, and Jackie he nearly died doing that movie, and I think, and I mean I don't know, but I think that may be something that kind of draws people to that one is that he almost died making that movie, cracking his skull and whatnot. But yeah, like I don't know. This is one of those movies where I had like heard so much talk about it, and I watched it, and I was like, this is not a good movie. I like that action sequence at the end. Like that's the only redeeming quality for it. But overall, yeah, it's not a fun movie for me.
That's very interesting. For one, I wouldn't necessarily join you in saying it's bad, but I do prefer Operation Condor to Armor of God.
Operation Condor is excellent. I love it.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I love Operation Condor.
Yeah, that's a really fun movie. I watched that. My wife actually bought that Blu-ray for me. The '88 film's release of Operation Condor. She bought that for Christmas. It was a Christmas gift for me, and so we watched that together. And the whole time I was like, this is way better than Armor of God. I'm like having so much fun with this movie. But yeah,
it's so good. I'd put Operation Condor actually very high in my favorite Jackie Chan list. I'd put it up there. Even I'd probably put Operation Condor above some of the police stories, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Is there a martial arts film that you just haven't seen yet that you want to see? Is there one out there? Now, it could be, your answer to this could be, I haven't seen John Wick 4 yet, or it could be, I haven't seen this rare, obscure Shaw Brothers film yet.
Right. Let me think. There are a lot of movies out there that I haven't seen that I really do want to see. A lot of them are, a couple of them are like some Donnie Yen films that I haven't seen. Like, what is it? He did with Michelle Yeoh, is it Butterfly and Sword?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about that one, and I haven't seen it, so I'm curious about that one. The other in the Line of Duty films,
Yeah.
uh, I had the 88 films release of 1 through 4. Amazing set. I love all 4 of those movies. In the Line of Duty 4 is just a balls to the wall movie. I love that movie so much. But yeah, I do want to see 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's 9, right? I think. Yeah.
Do you know what? Because they've got so many names, I lose how many. I know up to 7. I know 7 is in the Line of Duty 7. Is it Sea Wolves? I think
Yeah.
that one's called. Yeah, 8 and 9 kind of elude me. I'm not entirely sure. And don't get me wrong, I haven't seen those in years, like decades. I haven't seen those in such a long time.
Yeah, So I think there's 9 total, but yeah, the other 5 movies, I do want to see those. I want to see the and a lot of them are again those 80s and 90s films. But the was it Iron Angels? Is that the?
Yeah,
I've heard some rumors about those, that those might get a release. So
there are certainly rumors on the horizon. I've heard that as well. Yeah, possibility that they'll that all 3 of them might be in a box set, maybe, possibly.
yeah, I'm curious about that. I really want to see Fatal Termination. Air 4444 is releasing that
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Pre-order start tomorrow. Yes, I'm curious about that one, and the release. Air already showed us what the slipcases and everything looked like, and showed us all that. So like just seeing that, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. So I'm curious about that movie as well. But yeah, there are many of them out there.
Yeah, it's funny. Fatal Termination. Yeah, pre-orders hit tomorrow at noon, and right at noon tomorrow, my boss has a meeting with me, so I can't hop on and pre-order. I don't think it's going to sell out right away, but usually I'm very quick because I'm just like, I want it, I gotta get it. But tomorrow I've got a fucking meeting at noon exactly, so I'm gonna try and postpone the meeting just so I can pre-order the film. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll be able to. But yeah, I think they've got 1,000 in stock, so I don't think they're going to sell out super quick.
Yeah, which slipcase are you going to get?
There's a set with both of them, right?
There's I don't know if there's one that where you can get both. I may be misremembering, but I know there's one with kind of like a newly done artwork, and then there's a classic one. But
yeah, I'm classic through and through.
I think I'm gonna get the newer one, like the newer artwork. I just like the colors of the newer one. Like it's like the dark blue and stuff like that. I like that, so I might go with the new one.
Yeah, all I remember is I know there's there's individual sets for $36, and then there's like a bumper pack for $40. I'm getting the 40 one. That's that's I can't remember what comes in it, but that's all I know. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be there to spend my hard-earned money on that. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I hope we get to see more of these. I'd love to see the Iron Angels films get a release. Yeah. I think did Spectrum Film put them out in France? I think they put out Angels 1 and 2, but no English subs.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't looked into that release, but I think I had seen something like that.
Yeah, I've got like digital versions. I shouldn't say digital versions. I've got like MP4s of Angel 1 and 2. I didn't get them officially. I didn't like get them off iTunes or anything. Someone was kind enough to send them to me. So I have seen them and they are excellent. Iron Angels 3 isn't the best, but it does have Moon Lee using nunchaku, and that's always pleasant to see. So I think this might be my last question, which is great because we might hit an hour. Do you have any martial arts films that you're looking forward to in the future, around the corner? Anything that you're really excited for, that you want to see, whether it's a theatrical release, whether it's a Blu-ray, whatever it may be? Anything exciting?
It's mostly Blu-rays. There isn't really anything theatrical that I'm looking forward to, at least not right now. But mostly Blu-rays. These are not martial arts films, but I am excited for the Long Arm of the Law release from 88 Films. I haven't seen those movies, but I have been getting into the heroic bloodshed genre, and I'm always eager to find like some heroic bloodshed films, and so I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for their release of The Last Blood. Postman Strikes Back. That's coming out soon. I'm looking forward to that. What else is there? One I'm really excited for is the Skyhawk from Eureka that comes out.
Yeah, I pre-ordered that one. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that looks really good. I actually haven't seen that movie, but it looks like it checks all the boxes for me. Like I've seen the trailer, I've read about it, who's all in it. Like that looks like the movie that I would. It looks like the very like typical movie that I would be into. So I'm really looking forward to the Skyhawk. And I think that's about it. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. And of course, I do. I am looking forward to that Bruce Lee set once I'm able to get my hands on it. So.
Yeah. It's we got some good releases around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for. So yeah, hopefully they'll be. I think they're all pretty readily available in I think August and September, most of them.
Yeah, Skyhawk comes out in August. I know that.
I think Twin Dragons comes out in August, right? The Jackie Chan film as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that does. I think.
Yeah, I think that comes out. So I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, good stuff. So we can go. We've hit an hour. We can go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thank you so much for being on the first episode. I love this conversation. If they all go like this, then I'll be very, very happy with this series.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. This was like a dream come true. So yeah, I really appreciate the honor.
No problem. And of course, let me go ahead and do this and tell people where they can find you on the internet.
All right, yeah. So yeah, obviously, as Sean is showing you, I have a YouTube channel called Kaleb's Kung Fu Cinema. I also have a podcast also called Kaleb's Kung Fu Cinema. We do episodes once a month. Episodes air on the 15th of each month. We just did our newest episode on the 2006 film Fatal Contact. Outside of that, if you want to follow me on social media, I have Instagram. It's at Kaleb's Kung Fu Cinema, and then I also have a Facebook page. So yeah, you guys can find us on there.
Awesome. Go ahead and give Kaleb a follow, give him a listen, and give him a watch. And while you're here on my YouTube channel, why don't you go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you're new here. I'd really appreciate a subscription. And any comments that you have, go ahead and throw them down below. I do respond to hopefully all, if not most, of the comments I get. And we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, thank you so much, Kaleb, and everyone else. We will catch you next time.